Welcome to another episode of Our 2 Cents. This is a program where we share our 2 cents and exchange views on uniquely Singapore money topics. So in this episode, we'll be talking about Hello everybody, my name is Yang Zhi. I am the host, and join with me today are Kathy and Hazel from the Joyful Investors and Alvin and Chris from Dr. Wealth. Right, so today we'll be talking about something very interesting, right? So many of us in Singapore are in this thing called rat race, right? We always chase for higher salary in hope for a better life. But is money really important for us to achieve happiness? So this is a topic that we'll be discussing today, right? But before we dive into the discussion, right, the producers have actually prepared for us a very interesting game. Okay, so I'm gonna explain to you, right? This game is a bit like The Price is Right, except that it's called Who's the Richest? Okay, so if you look behind you, so the four of you are supposed to break into two different teams. Okay, and then the four pieces of paper here will determine your fate. Okay, which team you are in. So before I explain what this game is about, I get each of you to just pick a piece of paper.
I'll take the last one.
Oh, it's your fate.
Yes.
Okay. Can you all open up the piece of paper and then show the camera your number? Number one.
What?
Oh.
Oh.
Two.
So you are two.
I'm having
Okay.
struggling
So-
with a piece of paper.
Okay,
Two.
has to be two. Okay, so it's Dr. Wealth versus the Joyful Investors.
Guys versus
Yeah. So what we're gonna do next is that we'll get you into your teams. But before we do so, let me just explain to you what is this game, right? So when you see the eight cards on this board, right? There are people and there are countries, right? So for the people, what we're gonna do is that you need to assess what is the individual's net worth. Okay? And then for the countries, it is the GDP as of 2020. So your job in your teams, right? You're supposed to discuss and then rank them according to which one you think is of the highest value to the lowest value. Right?
So we rank the individual and the countries together.
Correct. So which one is the highest, which one is the lowest? Right, so it's just accordingly. Do you have any questions?
Nope.
Okay, great. Then I'll get you to sit in your teams.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so now that you are in your teams, right, I want to let you all know that you all have 5 minutes to discuss and then rank the 8 cards according from the highest value to the lowest value, okay? Once you're done, just come and grab this thumbs up sign to show that you're ready, and then you can just sit here. And just a last word of warning, right? For the losing team, right, there is a forfeit. So I don't know what's that, right? The producers has kindly prepared a certain forfeit. So with that, good luck to the both of you. Your time starts now.
Yes.
Let's go.
Just arrange the people first, then we injecting. So suspect you want to
Let's see. I know Ivan Mas is the top among the people.
second.
So we
Okay, we definitely
Okay, we
know
put first.
that,
We put on top first
that
lah.
this guy is below this guy, right?
Top first.
Right. So
thing is Singapore lah. We support
this
Singapore
guy should be
because
third.
Singapore
we're
beautiful.
Singaporeans.
Below.
Yeah, correct.
Oh, okay.
Then-
Yeah.
Okay, you have about 3 minutes.
Is it okay?
Looks like you are almost done.
I'm just not very sure of the behind.
Okay.
Just,
Yeah.
But I think
just swatch.
if that's the final.
Okay, we
let's
fight
go.
for faster timing.
Okay, this is harder.
Yes.
Okay, the Joyful
Yes, we are
Investors is
done.
done. Wow, look at the wealth on the
Slot here, slot here.
Elon Musk wealth already
Oh,
break the roof
oh,
already.
Before
Hit the roof.
Singapore. No, we Singaporean. I support Singapore.
when unsure, support Singapore.
Okay,
If you don't know what is answer,
Okay lah.
support your country
Alright,
first.
Can.
Okay, okay, great. Now both teams are ready. Have a look at each other's answers. So you have one last chance to make any change that you want. There's actually a tie between two of the cards. Okay, then I give a personal hint also. I think Singapore, right, belongs to the top and the bottom. Yeah, so that's my hint. So you all have a look at your choices and then you all think whether you want to make any changes. Are you happy with your results?
Okay, let's go and change.
Oh, for ours we go with like this.
Like that, then like
It's
that.
easier, easier.
Yeah.
That's our order lah.
Because
So
that was
after
the one that
Jeff is Bernard.
we didn't know.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
Should be okay.
Okay.
Don't change lah.
Yeah.
Let's go with
So
this.
already, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
We are
Okay,
confident.
so before I reveal the answers, right, perhaps I'll invite each of you, right, to explain why you all ranked it in this manner, lah. Maybe we start with Alvin and Chris, lah. Why do you all rank like that?
You got it.
I guess it's memories of who has how much net worth. Looking at the Forbes riches, right? So
Yeah,
Elon
yeah.
Musk have hit the headlines,
Yes.
being the richest, the first person to cross $300 billion, and that was during the peak of Tesla share price, lah. Right? So since share price had come down,
But you sure not? Recently he sold off, you know.
yeah, so,
went to
so
Twitter.
that's why we also don't know we don't know what is the timestamp of this data, right?
Yeah,
so
that's
okay.
right.
but we roughly know it should be up there.
Okay.
And it can be surprising that it can be even higher than GDP of Singapore, right? For the last year, 2020. But we weren't sure,
Yeah, we weren't sure.
who is
We
the
weren't
head.
sure,
lah.
yeah.
So we thought that it could be something that's surprising, so we put Elon Musk on top.
Okay.
Until you gave us a clue, so
Oh,
we
okay.
changed.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was a very good
Yeah.
hint.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what are your thoughts on the rest? Like
On the
Peter?
rest, I think
You're a
it's-
soccer fan, right?
yeah, it's the middle is harder definitely. The top and the bottom is easier. So the bottom is all the Singaporeans, right? So you have Forrest Lee, Severin, and Peter Lim. Forrest Lee should be the highest
Yeah,
because
because
he's
he's
the
got the
richest man
company,
in Singapore, right? So we know that actually that one is not correct really.
Oh.
How can Forrest Lee be at the bottom?
Okay.
Yeah, and then Severin and Peter Lim is a little bit difficult, but I would think that Facebook shares are worth more
Yeah.
than Thomson Medical. So,
Mm.
so Severin should be on top of Peter Lim.
Okay, but anyway, final answer already. Chris, you have anything to add on?
No,
or not?
nothing at all. I think it's quite easy to get the thing up. Yeah.
Surprisingly, Jeff Bezos somewhere in the middle,
Because
Yeah.
because he divorced.
Yeah.
Oh!
Yeah.
There,
Divorce
yeah,
is
yeah.
very expensive.
Yeah, divorce is expensive. That's right. Yeah.
That's true. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, thanks, Dr. Wealth. Now we move on to the joyful investors. So looking at this, right, you all have something in common is that I think GDP of Singapore and Elon Musk is at the top.
Yeah, all the while we think that
Yeah.
GDP of Singapore should go first. That's why we never change our
Why so
answer.
confident?
When you not sure which one first, go for your Singapore, your country first.
I see. But
You'll never go wrong.
is Singapore, strong enough to compete against Mars or not? Nowadays people say go to the moon, to the Mars,
But recently, Musk shares dropped a lot.
Okay.
So why not go for your own country first?
Looks like your both teams are ranked Jeff Bezos the fourth. Yeah. So what's the thinking? The rest? I think the first two quite
The
similar in
rest
the
actually-
thinking.
we just see based on gut feel.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So you are confident of your answers. I shall review the correct answers. Starting from the bottom. Okay.
Wow.
Starting from the bottom. Okay. So this data, right, is accurate as of yesterday. Okay. So we went to check November data. As for the GDP, right, it is accurate as of 2020. Right?
Okay.
So last year's.
Okay.
So at the bottom 8 is Peter Lim.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so
Oh.
ding, ding, 1 point. Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, the producers will decide who has the highest score. It's not up to me also, and
Okay.
who does the profit. Okay.
Alright.
Okay, so tied in 6th and 7th place, right, is Forrest Lee and Severin. And then on the 5th, right, 5th is Bernard Arnault and family
Okay.
at
So we missed that out. Okay.
199.5
The
billion.
fifth.
The LV,
Yeah.
MH.
Yeah,
Oh, that's two
LV,
lah.
Yeah.
LV, Sephora, your Fendi, I think, yeah, luxury family, right? And you're actually, you're actually surprisingly accurate. Jeff Bezos, right, is 4th at 203
Wow.
billion.
Not bad.
4th.
We were
And
close.
yeah,
close, we were
and
close.
3rd, right, is actually New Zealand's GDP.
Yeah, we're right. Okay.
210.8 billion. Yeah. And surprisingly, but also not surprisingly, Elon Musk's net worth is actually bigger than the net worth of New Zealand. At the very astounding 271.5 billion. Yeah. And number 1, the top spot is Singapore's GDP at 340 billion. Okay, so as our producers are tabulating the results for this game, right, we will head back to our discussion, right? But at the end of this discussion, right, one of you, right, will face a very tragic fate of having to do the forfeit. What the forfeit is, I also don't know. Okay, so now we head back, right? It's crazy to think that people like Elon Musk can be so rich, but sometimes I wonder, are they really happy or not, right? This the topic today we are talking about is whether higher income will actually make you feel happier. So there are a few questions we prepared for you over here. So the first question is this, right? Singapore is a very costly place to live in, right? So do you think that there is a minimum income that a Singaporean must have, right, to feel happy per se? Right? I think being a very statistic kind of person, right? I'd like to hear Chris. What do you think?
Thank you. Alright, so if you want a minimum baseline, the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy in the year 2021 basically conducted a focus group study. And in this focus group study, they got a bunch of people to come together to decide what kind of expenses you will need to live a basic standard of living. To these academics, the idea of a basic standard of living is the idea that there is some amount of money that can be spent for enjoyment so that you can have a happy or minimum baseline kind of lifestyle. And the magic number that they've come up with for a single person at the age of 55, it's $1,768 a month. Alright, so with this number, you can use this as a baseline. And if you're a couple, then you can double this amount, and this should suffice if you want basically a happy kind of living in the HDB heartlands. Okay, of course, a lot of professionals may not agree this number. They especially those with a car or with a house, but I think that this is a very good number to start with.
But just curious, so this study was done like roughly when?
2021. So I think they
that's quite
perform a
recent
study every 3 years. So 2018 they performed the study, and then the current study was 2021, and a little bit of inflation crept in, and 3 years ago it was 1,721. Yeah, so you have to prepare that over time, right? It would increase. Yeah.
Yeah, actually that's surprisingly, it's actually quite close to the CPF life payout amount. Okay, but we won't go there.
Don't go there, don't go there.
Go there.
Yeah, because I think I recently wrote something. I said CPF life is not enough. Yeah.
Yeah, it's slightly lower, right?
Slightly lower, yeah, with the escalating plan.
Yeah, but I think that's a topic for another day.
Right.
Hazel, do you agree with what Chris says?
Well, I think there is definitely a minimal viable income level for anyone, including Singaporeans, to have. So much so that we are not living from hand to mouth. Because I think it is surely not easy for anyone to still be able to feel happy while constantly barely being able to make financial ends meet. And as Maslow's hierarchy of needs suggests, it puts forward that human needs can be categorized into a hierarchy, with the lowest level or the base level needs being the most pressing needs that human beings have, such as basic food, shelter. Then as we go up the hierarchy, we have the more abstract needs like self-fulfillment. And this model also suggests that as human beings, we have to first meet the lower level needs before we can even move on to looking at the higher level needs, which is why I think there is definitely a minimally viable income level for us to meet the basic needs. Yeah.
Is there a number you put to it, or you feel that it's subjective?
I think it is really subjective. Yeah.
I see. But minimally, you feel that it has to fulfill your basic needs for like food and shelter and things like that.
Yes.
You cannot be happy.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's fair. Yeah. What do you think, Kathy?
So actually, I agree with what she said. So money can't buy happiness, but life is complicated enough that we will need a certain amount of it to be happy. Because with money, we can buy the house to stay, we can choose the school to send kids to, we can choose the kind of treatment to receive when we are sick. So at a basic level, yes, we will need a certain amount of money to feel happy. Yeah, but if today you are seeking a higher income because you want to keep up with the Jones, or in Singapore context, the dance, yeah, so there will always be a family that is beyond your reach. Yeah, and it becomes an obsession to keep up with the material things. Yeah.
I see. But so same question, is there a hard number that you put to this minimum
I think
in Singapore context lah?
different people is different. It really depends on what to you, what is the basic needs for you. Because for some people, they think that, oh, in my family, I will definitely require a car, or I need to go restaurant or cafe every week, every weekend, at least once. Then of course this number will be a higher number as compared to the other family. Yeah, so there's no specific number attached to this because everyone is different.
I see. Yeah, I agree. I think living in Singapore, we are pretty lucky lah, right, to have so many different entertainment stuff and all, right? So kind of like raises the bar, right? We actually need more money to feel happy per se.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, thanks for your response. Okay, so moving on to question 2. I think it's a very interesting question. So a lot of people say money cannot buy happiness, right? So for this question, I'm going to ask you all, can money buy happiness, right? So today, I believe all of us over here are earning a certain level of income, right? So the sub question is this, if you're earning 10 times of what you're earning today, right? Do you think you'll feel happy or not? Yeah, I want to hear from Chris again. Right?
Okay,
So,
alright. Thank you for airing me. Okay, so the answer is an equivocal yes. Alright, and before I give you my answer, once again, I'd like to call upon research done by the University of Pennsylvania. So what they did was, they sampled a population and they sent a message to the person and they asked, how are you feeling? And the person will SMS back, I'm feeling great, I'm feeling horrible. Okay, and they did that several times a day. Okay, and after they did this research, they found that there is a positive relationship between a person's happiness against the amount of income that they're earning. Alright, so this positive relationship holds true right up to this magic number of 75,000 US dollars a year, which is the equivalent of 100,000 Singapore dollars a year. Right? Now, when the experiment was done then, they found that levels of happiness actually flatlines. You get this diminishing returns as your income goes up even higher. Alright, so now I've read in some of the later reports that actually they found that the diminishing returns kick in much later. So you can actually earn a lot of money and become a lot happier the more money you have, right? So for me, I think the answer would be yes, if you're earning $20,000 and you make 10 times the amount of money to $200,000, the increase in your happiness is going to be very significant, right? There'll be massive changes to your life because, for example, some people, you might be eating a bowl of char kway teow, a plate of char kway teow in a hawker center, and then suddenly you've upgraded to Crystal Jade, for example. Right? But if you draw an income of $200,000 a year and it becomes $2 million a year, I think the difference is going to be much smaller. Right? Even though it's a 10 times increase, how much can you spend a day before you are constantly worrying about, where to get the best shark fin in Singapore, right? So you do get diminishing returns, right? But it doesn't mean that you become less happier. I think a person that makes 2 million would still be happier than a person who makes 200,000, but the effect will not be so pronounced, right? Yeah. So I think that's what, at least what the experts are saying about this topic.
So what you're saying is that the gradient of this happiness actually kind of flattens as you earn more.
Yeah. And you should be mindful that it begins to flatten around $100,000 a year in Singapore. Yeah.
So viewers making 100,000, right? That's enough already. You won't get a lot happier than this. No, okay.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
But actually, part of me is also thinking, right? Would it be a case where it's, increasing gradient, flatten, and then it reaches a point where, you're as rich as like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, right? You can buy an island, Would your happiness actually spike up like crazy, right?
My guess is not likely. I'm just guessing because the sample size of these billionaires is probably not large enough to conduct a study where you can claim that it is statistically significant, right? Yeah, I mean, yeah, how many billionaires can you find, right, who participate in this research? Yeah,
That's true.
I think that's a problem, right?
That's true. That's true. Well, Alvin. So if you had enough money to buy an island like that, right? Would you be happier or not? So what do you think? Money can buy happiness or not?
So I think first of all, I'm on the camp that money can buy happiness, right?
Okay.
People who say money cannot buy happiness try to live without money, right, and see whether they're happy or not. I think it's very tough, and I agree with what we have discussed so far. There is a minimum amount that people need to be happy with, and that's the first point. So I agree with that. Then on the second point, if let's say I 10x the income, right, will I be happier? So my answer is also yes, right? But I will not be 10x happier.
I
that
see.
That's the
That
difference,
is the
right?
key.
Yeah,
right?
so you give me 100x more income, it doesn't mean that I'll be 100x more happy, right?
That's a
So
very good point.
I think that's the very first thing that we need to establish, which is congruent to what Chris talked about, the diminishing marginal rate of return, right? That actually eventually kicked in. And the third point is that I'll be very happy when I see that 10x amount of income, but for how long? So there is also a time diminishing effect. There's a recency bias, like, I suddenly have this spending power that I can do now. I can go on holiday and go around the world, right, without considering what's going on in over here in Singapore, right? So I can just do a lot of things that I don't get to do in the past. But after a while, right, let's say I travel over for 1 month, I may get bored. Right? So the happiness just diminish over time as well. So I think the fourth thing is the expectation, right? Expectation of our lifestyle will shift, right? So it's subjective, and maybe I'm happy with $100,000, right? But after I 10x, I get $1 million a year. Then maybe my expectation is I must have at least 500,000. So that bar will also shift. That will change a lot of the happiness that I derive out of it. So I think it is very hard to answer. There are just too many moving parts about expectation, income, happiness. Yeah, but I think these are the considerations that we will have.
Yeah, I agree. I think that there's this thing that I don't know what you term it lah. Maybe have a decay time for happiness, right? Where I think money can only temporarily buy you some happiness. But I think I also agree that to a large extent it can buy things to make you happy for a while lah, right? Well, I guess the ladies tend to have more of the perspective that money and happiness is not equivalent, right? I don't know if that's true. What do you think, Hazel?
Well, I agree with what Chris and Alvin had bring up. So I would like to bring up another perspective, which is that money itself, actually, it is just a tool. With money, you can buy a house, but you cannot buy a home. With money, you can buy food, but you cannot buy your appetite. You can buy a doctor, but not good health. And with money, you can also buy, say, a bed, but not your sleep. So not everything can be bought using material wealth, which is why I say that money is actually just a tool. It should not be the goal. Happiness, freedom, these are the goals. So whether you would feel, happier with 5 times more money, 10 times or 20, 30 times more money, I think a large part also depends on how you go about making the money, earning the money, the process, and what you do with the money that you earn. That determines whether happiness can be derived. For example, if you put in a lot of effort and hard work at doing something that you truly and you deeply care about, and you put the money that you earn into a good use, then I think you will be happy. Yeah. So I think it is not just only about the magnitude of the money. Yes, no doubt. If you earn more money, I think in terms of the increase in happiness, it will be there. But another part of it is how you go about earning the money. That is also important.
I see. I think you brought up a very good point. Yeah, it's not just about the magnitude, not just the number, right? But actually how you made that money, right? Yeah. I agree with that. Okay, so we've come to the end of the episode. But before we go, we have one last very important thing to do, right? So one team has to do the forfeit. Okay, so our producers have deliberated for very long, and it was a very close fight. But they decided that the ladies won. Okay, which means
The guys are
Alvin
always
and Chris, you all have to enjoy our special concoction.
Okay,
You know?
alright.
Whiskey Coke.
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe you can let us know how it tastes and what you think it's
Oh, this is
made
big.
of. So from our producers, right? It is something that's good for your health, especially during a time like this. Nice or not?
What is it?
There's a bit of like sour plum.
Yeah,
There's a
I
bit
also
of
taste
like-
sour plum.
Sour
Is it
plum
nice?
and probably Coke.
Oh,
It's somewhat like Coke, but it's not. Maybe it is Coke mixed with 家凉茶.
Oh no, I know already.
Yeah.
It's Coke plus grass jelly.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, but no prize for getting this correct. Yeah. Okay.
It's
so
quite tasty actually.
Oh really? Oh no!
Cheers.
Next time
found a new
next time
thing.
our forfeit, you're gonna make it more difficult. But okay, thanks Alvin and Chris for being such a good sport. And
problem.
thank you the ladies for winning this competition, although there's no prize. Okay, so with that, we'll end the episode. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Bye.